Hello there. We are the Podcast Discovery Show. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. So, Kirk, I thought of a question that I always like to ask people because you get to see where the passion is. If if you had enough money to not work, what would be your job? Only fun. Podcasting, Twitch streaming. I feel like it's dark in here. Yeah, no, that's a great one. Yeah, no, that's a really good one because we do this even though we have to work as well. I always thought that I would like to have the just complete time to write more, and I always felt like that would be my kind of answer to this. Is if I didn't have to work, then I could just like write. How did he wait? Did Josh say that before you even said podcasting? That's pretty impressive if he did. I I missed it. I was changing stuff on my. So Josh, what's your answer? What would you do if you could just work for what you want to do and not for money? And same for Twigs, whoever. Pickles. Start a pickle farm dedicated to pickles. Ooh, food blogger. I mean, there's a few very lucky people who that is their job, because that was Bourdain's job. That's Andrew Zimmern. There's some people who are able to pull that off, and that does seem amazing. It really does seem amazing. Oh, so Josh wants to become the Unabomber when he grows up. No, like I do. There is definitely some element of like living in a cabin. If you didn't have to work, having some places just in the woods and you can do whatever you want would be amazing. I always wanted to, like, my dream thing was like get. Have you ever seen those like really? They have like I'd almost describe it as like a survival RV. So like instead of it being like an old person wagon type thing, it's got huge tires on it. It's got like a bunch of like you can have like um extra water tanks and like all kinds of things like that. It's more practical for like going into remote regions than like just like a portable hotel room. And you just take that and you do whatever your little like job would be at like in this like scenario we have here, but you do that wherever you want to be. And so you like point your window towards the Grand Canyon and you work while you're looking at the Grand Canyon for a week, and then you just drive around. You just go wherever you want to go and have like a mobile base. Yeah. I need to find this thing so I could show you. It's very expensive, but it's amazing. I mean, you can tell because it's called luxury expedition vehicles. But check this thing out because they put it on a big old truck so you can like drive it up a mountain. Did you just time out our own Streamlabs? You taught him a lesson. Ban Streamlabs. Shut up. This thing is crazy, man. You can like, it's really nice, but the whole point of it is you can drive it anywhere. You can drive it up a mountain. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I saw one of these out once, you know, like right by work actually. And I was like, "What is that thing?" Yeah, they're crazy. Don't look at the price tag; it's gonna hurt your feelings. It really is. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I like the idea of like an off-roading RV. You know, where you can just drive it into a mountain. It's like I'm gonna sleep here. But yeah, we are the Podcast Discovery Show. We have a couple of shows to record, and then after that, we are going to have video game time. So if you'd like to participate in any and all of that, we welcome you. We welcome you to the show. What was that face, Kirk? What are you looking at right now? Oh, okay. Yeah, we all got to see it live. Kirk's response to the price tag on those things. It's a house. It costs as much as a house, a good house. That's a really good house. Yeah, no, it's wildly out of reach. You got to go to Craigslist and find a used one. Yeah, it's still too much. I can't afford that personally. Well, all right. I guess we are ready to start the first episode. Go ahead and kick this button on here. If I had to guess, it's something not like in your room. Something the line or the audio program you has some noise floor on it somewhere. And I am Zach. Yeah, and I do think that Josh would like this show for sure. I had heard a little bit about this contest in general because it does kind of have a vibe around it now, you know, where it's very popular and it's a thing every year. But there it was a really awesome episode to listen to because they talk about so much stuff that I hadn't thought about. Hmm. No, it's a pretty cool ethos for sure. No, and I do think they're how they frame it in their website is true because this show is about hacking a lot of times. These are things that are extremely complex, and a lot of it just sounds like magic words that you don't understand. But at the same time, he's also bringing it down so that you can at least understand kind of the mechanics within it. You know, it's not something that you end up getting super bogged down in the technical elements of it, but there's enough of it there so you can really appreciate what's happening. And yeah, no, it really does help. But yeah, this episode is about the Master of Pwn and the Pwn to Own challenges that are put on by Zero Day Initiative. And this is some of the stuff that I didn't know about and was super interesting to me because I knew that these contests were happening, but I hadn't really put much thought into who was hosting them. You know, who was setting up these prize pools. So Zero Day Initiative is actually a company that ends up working with all of the major tech companies that we know and use on a daily basis. They'll work with Google and Microsoft and Apple and things like that. And what they do is they find vulnerabilities in their software and they will tell them. And essentially, there's like almost all of these also have a bounty program. So if you find an exploit in their software, almost all of these will pay you for that, for finding the vulnerability before they had an issue with it. And so they have taken that to the next level where the Zero Day Initiative is regularly talking to all of these major tech companies and regularly telling them what they call these people researchers. So they're yeah. Um, and so they will regularly be talking to them about, hey, here's what's happening. And another thing I did not know was that there is a 120-day window on these disclosures. To me, that's very interesting because that puts a little fire in there. So what that means is if Zero Day Initiative finds a bug, you know, one of their researchers finds it, there's a whole lot of like back and forth here. They work with researchers. Researchers will give it to Zero Day Initiative, and then Zero Day Initiative has the reputation to go to these large tech companies without having any blowback. You know, they know who they are. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, kind of. So they act as an intermediary, layer of anonymity there. Yeah, no, and it's really interesting because it's so easy to think hacker and think bad, but there's a lot of, like, there's an entire division of computer engineering that's just about security. So it's people that must know how hacks work and must do essentially hacking to make sure that security is invulnerable to it. So any site that you have has an entire team of people that could be hackers in another life, but they have to do it from the other side, and that's why you have like white hat hackers, which are like beneficial hackers. They're like activists, and then you have black hat, which is they're just highest bidder. Who cares? They'll do whatever, doesn't matter. And so you have this whole interesting kind of culture happening here, and then you get to these competitions that Zero Day Initiative is throwing, and it's so interesting because they've essentially, it's almost like they've gamified it. There's a lot of money on the line, hundreds of thousands of dollars for these major, for the people who win the pwn to own contests. They had several stories throughout this where somebody would win a Tesla or somebody would win an MacBook, and the way you win these is by literally hacking them. Like if you hack into them, you get to keep them. And so they made a way to target something that is so necessary. Like that's honestly another thing about this show. Anytime you look into the security of data, of all of the systems we have set up, it's terrifying, honestly, because the types of things they're talking about here are crazy. They're just crazy. So I think it's really important. I realize that like there's some element of like, I'm sure companies aren't like super happy about it, but at the same time, I would rather they knew that there was a problem regardless of how they feel about it. Cause like they have the 120-day agreement. So yeah, no, you're all good. When Zero Day says, okay, we found an exploit, Apple, example, I don't know that this happened specifically with them, but we found an issue. You need to solve it. They give them 120 days from when they say that to either address the issue, or they literally will post a blog about it to really put their feet to the fire. And they've had some of these where the people are like, no, it's not a big deal. But then as soon as it goes public that this is just like happening, then the thing is, anybody who's looking to exploit those systems now knows where the weakness is. You have to do it. Like, so yeah, I could see why some people don't like it, but in the end, when you see the amount of literal hacking that's happening all the time, like major data breaches, these things we have to like continuously push on this, or it's not gonna get better. It's going to get worse. It does. Yeah, they said phishing does not count. Has to just do it regardless of what they've done. They don't have to click on anything. Yeah, no, it to some extent they were right-ish because at the time when that was like a thing, there was way more PC users. You know, most of the hacks were targeted towards Windows operating system. But now when you look at that ratio, there's so many Macs. Like yeah, don't nobody fool yourself into thinking that your MacBook can't get hacked. There are plenty of them, and there's plenty of reason why they would want to do that. But yeah, that was one of the most terrifying things about this episode is they do get into a little bit of how people are winning some of these contests. And it's honestly fairly terrifying because what most of them are doing is you just go to a website. That's it, you know, because all of us are a little bit wary of like if you get an email from somebody you don't know, maybe don't click the URL in it. You know, like there's things that are like kind of common sense at this point, but that's literally saying if you get like, and they could like hyperlink it and they could hide it somewhere, they could make it so you don't know what you're going to. But if you connect to a website, it can take over your computer because a lot of what they were doing is whatever they were testing. So if it was a certain web browser, you'd hop on that web browser, you'd go to their website, that was where the exploit was, and they would just sit there and see if you were able to get into their computer, and that's all it was taking for them. They were taking over, and then they kind of walk through a lot of these in a way where you do see what's happening, you know, because essentially you go to a website and then they're able to open the calculator app on your computer. And so then essentially all that's saying is like, yeah, they're just running the functions on your computer and now you're in trouble. And so now I'm scared of going to websites too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, there is some of that where if they want to, they'll find a way. Because the thing is they're constantly like you would think essentially they're having this contest every year. You know, they're finding people who can exploit all of the major tech companies every year. So at some point they're gonna close it all up, right? You know, but it's not possible. It's just not possible because and especially when you start looking at quantum computing, which is like fairly close to coming online. When that happens, everything is going to be different because they'll be able to brute force like everything, which is just throw enough information at to like shut it down because it just computes at a different level than we have any comprehension of. So all of this is going to happen 100x as soon as quantum computing becomes a thing. But yeah, no, it's a really cool thing. I did as I was listening to this, I because they're interviewing in this a couple of the people who have done very well at the Pwn to Own. I think they became masters of Pwn, right? Okay, I'll say that. It is funny that the most prestigious hacking competition in the world is called like Masters of Pwn. That sounds like a 14-year-old like Counter Strike clan. You know what I mean? It's pretty funny. I think it's fair. Like it's an appropriate title, but I found a PC Mag had an article that was just talking about several prominent hackers that were then employed because of what they did. Because the thing is, this is always going to be necessary because just like I was saying earlier, the opposite of this is kind of infosec, where it's people who can protect you because they know how hacks work. So these are like the hackers are the best type of people to help you beef up your security. It's the whole premise of you have somebody break into your bank so that you can find the weaknesses in your security and fix them. And so it's the same thing, but across everything that we all own and all our data's on and everything like that. But there was several people, like Apple hired, there was someone who created a jailbreak app and was then hired by Apple. Microsoft and then Google grabbed somebody who became famous for hacking the Wiimote, which this one was really interesting because I'm curious. So his name is Johnny Chung Lee, and he is a computer scientist who famously hacked a Nintendo Wiimote in 2008 using a few ballpoint pens and infrared lights. And it's like, okay, I need to know more. You can't just say that and then move on, but they did. So we will too. But yeah, there was a lot of people who were hacking even in the 80s and 90s, and same thing. They were seen by the government, and those people also realize that if somebody can break into your system, they can make your system stronger. There was someone who created a Facebook worm who was then hired by Facebook. And then another one, iPhone worm creator, and he was then an app developer. Same thing with Twitter. And then there was someone named Kevin Poulsen who hacked into an FM radio station to rig a competition that scored him a Porsche. So he definitely stole a Porsche, essentially. And then he breached FBI computers. And then he put, everybody was onto him because he hacked the FBI computers. He was eventually arrested in 91. He served 5 years in prison in addition to paying $56,000 for fraud. And once he was done, he became a journalist and is now a senior editor at Wired magazine. And essentially, he has now started the second phase of his life where he just has additional insight. So it's really interesting to kind of see the humanity behind all of this, because I feel like so much of this is in obscurity. You know what I mean? Oh, and don't get me wrong, I know nothing about computer science and programming or anything like that. I just understand kind of the end results they're going for in some cases, because okay, there was a couple of these where they were talking about they were using virtual machines. So it's not like an actual computer, but you partition it and see it thinks it's a machine, and then they were able to get outside of the virtual machine into the actual computer. And so I don't understand at all how you would do that, but I understand the implication where you create a little pocket so that if anything happens in there, you can just shut it down, erase it completely, and they were able to just break out of the cage. So it's this show. You do not have to be crazy sophisticated to start to understand the things that these guys are doing, but it's I think that people who are sophisticated though could actually get more out of it than we did. They would better understand the stories that are being told. But overall, really interesting show. Like I said, we're scared now. So what are you gonna do? No. What was somebody trolling? Did you ban him from Discord? That's a lot of effort just to put porn everywhere. Looks like a 14-year-old. Just had the 14-year-old and act all edgy. Man, what are you gonna do? I did see him say like, "Hey, can I say something in Discord?" It's like, what is that? What are you talking about? And I was just like ignoring it because I was talking. What? Which one? You can go kind of whenever. You know, it's I had essentially wrapped like what I was talking about. It's not great. Yeah. Yeah, no, real slippery slope. There's been a lot of things that have been done in the name of stopping terrorism that were mostly BS and didn't really do much to stop terrorism. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they literally were just like, "Oh yeah, everything." Flashback, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm sure he sees the implication because the like the more extreme things that they were doing there would be a real problem if it was everywhere. Yeah, it was a really great show. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Um, I guess that brings us to our next recommendation. And this is one that I'd been thinking about for a while because it combines a lot of things we like. This show is called Gastropod, and they kind of mix in science, history, and food together. So they will talk about like kind of the cultural stuff behind it. They'll talk about some of the scientific questions that arise from it, and they'll talk about food. And so because both Kirk and I love them, we're going to talk about it. This episode is called Snack Attack. Yes, it's only about pickles. It's not. It's not actually about pickles. There might be pickles in there somewhere. There's always more to discover. Okay, episode 1 done. We only got porn attacked one time. It's because we were talking about hackers. Oh no, anonymous found us. We got on radar. Hopefully not that. Oh, is that where they were? Yeah, I'm deafened in there. So, although if we wouldn't have been deafened, so we need to remember to always be deafened because we could have gotten TOS'd on Twitch just now. If you would have jumped in there and started yelling things. It's a really strong commitment to being an idiot. Like I gotta say, it's very committed stupidity. Okay, let me. Yeah, if I could take a quick bio, I'm gonna go ahead and do these. But I can like if you're not gonna take one, I can leave this on. But if you are, then I'll put on the music. And also, I'm going to go ahead and restart the Zencast recording. So when you get back, just try and do that. But yeah, everybody, thanks for hanging out. Really appreciate it. We have one more show to do, and then we're going to play some video games. So thanks for being here, and we will be right back. back. Okay, are you ready? I can go ahead and start recording this. Okay. Welcome to Discovery Weekly, a show that's all about discovery. It can be music, art, science, it's just anything we discovered throughout the week. I'm Zach, and I discovered something amazing that I want to go do. They are building a space hotel. It looks. Yeah, okay, I'm going to show everybody. Everybody's got to see a picture of this thing. It's going to kind of spoiler something because I was going to reveal slowly that they want to have this in the sky, in orbit around Earth by 2027. This is like, oh, we'll be 95 years old and be like, look at our children going up to the sky. Nope. This is like soon. But here, I'll show everybody what this looks like. It looks like something out of 2001 Space Odyssey, basically. And what this is doing, and they definitely use this premise in Interstellar too, where all of this rotates around that center point to create artificial gravity. And so I'll show you a couple of these kind of like renders they've done. But yeah, there'd be like bars and everything. It's supposed to be like a kind of a fancy hotel. But this is not something that is like just theoretical at this point. So they're really working on how to do this. There's a company called the Gateway Foundation that released plans in 2019 for a ship-style hotel that could one day be floating above the Earth's atmosphere. And they essentially would all be connected by elevator shafts and would be rotating to try and simulate gravity so that you wouldn't all be floating around. But this is something that they are really on. There's some COVID delays, but construction on this hotel is supposed to begin in 2026. That's 5 years. That is 5 years they're going to start building a space hotel. First of all, I don't. Yeah. Yeah, no, but it's like. No, but they said it could be up there by 2027 because this is something that they're basing around like what they would use for a boat. And I think I don't know how you get this safe enough to the point. And I mean, I guess they could use legal forms, but like you don't normally have to sign like a waiver of your rights to go to a hotel. But I guarantee if there's one in space, there's got to be something, right? You like because first of all, that's assuming one that there's commercial space flight available, which that's pretty close too. That's what I'm saying is all these pieces are starting to fall in place around the right time. Like we've had the ISS there for a really long time. We know how to keep people in space for a really long time. I would guess modules. Yeah, I would guess pieces like on SpaceX rockets, and then they would have to send someone up there just to like assemble everything. Because that's how they did. That's how they did the ISS. Is they would like they launched up like a center module like on a ship, but then other than that, they would just attach pieces to it throughout. So that would be my guess on this too. And yeah, I would think the price tag is going to be ridiculous. But I just have this idea of sitting at a hotel bar and looking out and you see Earth. You see the Earth outside, like all of it. It would be so amazing. Oh, you're going to try to just go to the hotel bar in space and not stay? Yeah, I don't think they do that. There's not like, it's not like a subway. No, there's no subway that'll bring you back like a couple hours later. No, and that's the thing is I do feel like commercial space flight's going to have to be really dialed in. But what I'm saying is you have commercial space flight. You have to launch a bunch of civilians to space. Then the civilians get to live in space, which is like I guess they can. There's a lot of things they could model this after, though. You know, cruise ships and things like that have to be self-contained and able to do all their stuff on their own. And so you just kind of tweak the ISS plus a cruise ship, and you get like a hotel in space. And the main thing that blew my mind about this and is exciting is that is not very far away. Like we're having this conversation not as like a oh maybe one day there'll be a hotel in space. Like the pieces are starting to fall in so that this could actually happen. True. True story. I'm trying to think. I just need to find a job that requires me to go there. No, see, this is where your food blog idea would really work. You need to be the best food blogger in the world and be like, you know what? I got to review your kitchen. So for that to happen, you got to send me to space. And so then you could kind of like rig your way into getting up there for free. Yeah. Space hotels don't make it every day. They fail all the time. Yeah. Honestly, I can't wait for the first negative Yelp review of the space hotel. Like it's gonna be good. There was no couldn't walk my dog anywhere. Hotel is terrible. Yeah, that doesn't count. I want to be there in person. Whatever it takes, I gotta get rich. I shouldn't have pushed that. I should have known it would have distracted you too much to actually continue the show. I was trying. Yeah, no, I was just helping out Kelnack and you really because Kelnack will save his pickle points and then he'll use them again later. Well, I can ask Kelnack the question of the week while you're slurping on a pickle. Kelnack, if you were independently wealthy, what would you do for work? What would be your fun job? The job that you'd want to do just because it would be fun to do, not because you need the money from it. All right, let's see. Time on that was probably it's a good pickle. Probably about oh, okay. Yeah, we shouldn't have put that as an option. Kirk just put that because he wanted a reason to eat more pickles. Yeah, but you normally weren't doing it in the middle of a show. It's escalating. Your addiction to pickles has really started to take over. And you should be able to just go into your first one. Hmm. I would say they're mostly not like, because I feel like a lot of times these organizations are looking for people who are kind of like off grid, essentially. So I don't think they have much of like a, they aren't like going out and like really active in anything besides like the Mormonism. You know, they can like find people who are kind of just on the side. And I mean, Mormons are the ones that do like, they travel around and do the, I can't remember what they call it, mission, right? Is it, are they on bikes for that one? Is that Mormons? I don't know. I get them confused. But yeah, yeah, no. I don't. I will say that right now. I don't fully understand. Hmm. 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 Huh. There's becoming a Mormon club at the FBI. What? That's, that sounds counter. It sounds counter to what they've said. That's weird. Hmm. So ridiculous. Like, who? I had no clue this was happening, but no, it's interesting though. Mormon mafia sounds weird too. Oh, they did. They did win the discrimination case. Oh, okay. No, that I get that. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. No, no, I mean, good job on not winning the. Oh, you were mean to him because he was a different religion. You were mean to him because he was a different race. You did it. You did it, everybody. Good job. Terrible. Hmm. It does. Yeah. And they're just hiring more Mormons. So hopefully they can get all the Mormon discrimination under control at the FBI. That's a sentence that everyone needed, but no one knew they did. Do we have an ad? Or do you just want to leave a space here for the March Madness stuff? Yeah, there's a promo swap folder now that we can do kind of whatever. They did us on rocket. It's not rocket science. Mm-hmm. Or it's not rocket surgery. I don't know. I just saw it in the tweets. I saw some tweets about it. But yeah, no, I've what? From Australia? Yeah. Well, funny you should say that you like Atlas Obscura because this next one is from Atlas Obscura. Seriously, everybody, if you aren't checking out, we are not paid by them, but it is an absolutely incredible publication. Atlas Obscura, check it out. Gastro Obscura is the food side of it. Amazing. Like, it's just really good. Really, really good. But the reason I chose this one is because I was looking through their stories, which is just all of their different articles, and there was one that had bolded tag on it that said poop. And I was like, okay, I'm curious, Atlas Obscura. You do such high quality stuff. What are you talking about on here? That we do need to. I mean, he already has maybe 600 or so that they could use. Can't knock that guy's hustle. He's on it. Yeah, we called him. He answered immediately. So this article is called "Leave Only Footsteps and Take Your Poop When Visiting Japan's Lush Iriomote Island." So I'll paraphrase this. You should definitely read it because it's hilarious. But this very, very small island near Japan is essentially only home to 2,500 people permanently, but sees up to 400,000 tourists in not last year, obviously, but normal years. And the closest toilet to this island is 45 minutes by kayak or 50-minute hike away. And so what has begun happening, as you could very well expect, is people are pooping all over the place. And it has become a real issue that apparently, like, because, I mean, if you think about 400,000 people on an island are just pooping all over the place. Yeah, and so this is kind of what this article is about. I had no clue what they were going to be talking about, but that is what this is about. Is essentially, what do you do? Yeah, what do you do if you have extremely remote areas? Because this isn't exclusive to Japan. This is happening in basically anywhere that has national parks that are highly secluded. You know, we have the same issues here. But I've learned a couple weird things about because of this. So obviously human poop is really bad. But apparently what's even worse is poop and pee in the same place. I had never thought about this, but, and I mean, okay, just beware of this next couple minutes because it's slightly disturbing. And it's about poop things, but I don't know. I never knew this stuff. So poop, like by mass, is almost 50% like bacteria. So it is like, yeah, it's a lot. And the reason that is because then if it's on the ground, all that bacteria and then bugs break it down. But when you mix it with urine, then it creates just like an ammonia cloud that will kill all of the stuff in there that's meant to break it down. And so that's what's happening here is like 400,000 people a year are going to this island and are blasting it with just excrement. So they're like, you have ruined this beautiful island with your pooping everywhere. And so they've started reaching out to people to try and figure this out. What they ended up doing is they have essentially tent porta potties that they put there, and that has really helped a lot. But from this, I discovered another thing. There is a company called Toilet Tech Solutions, and this is an American company, and they literally specialize in high volume, like portable or isolated toilets. So that's their whole thing. They, it's ridiculous, and they use like conveyor belts, and literally, yes, there's a conveyor belt that separates the solids from the liquids, because that's the thing. They say that the liquids, plants like love it. You know, it's good for plants. The ground can just use it, but if it's mixed, then you have a problem. So they take the solids away into somewhere where the bugs and the natural bacteria can do their thing and they can break down naturally. The thing is, I had just never thought about this. Like, I had never thought about like, why are these mixed, or should they be, or you know what I mean? It's just with our like with a toilet, it just doesn't, it's not a thing. But apparently it's bad. And so there's an entire company that builds these like urinals that you can put in the middle of a desert, and they have built them in such a way that you can have hundreds of thousands of people use them and leave them there for 20 years and they're fine. You know, it breaks down naturally, and they have just found a way to do it. But it was just funny to me that there is like an entire industry, and all of these national parks are having to worry about it because people are just pooping everywhere. Oh, it's amazing. What do you mean? You can go to the bathroom. No, in the tents. They have little porta potties now. Yeah, no, the problem was they didn't have porta potties before because they expected people to just not poop out there. But apparently people resisted that idea. And so they were having issues. So just people being people. I saw this article when you posted it, but I did not like when I saw Nacho Libre. No, I did not think that was at all based on reality. I thought that it was pretty much as far from reality as you could possibly get. So good. I love that. I love that there's a priest wearing a lucha mask. Yep. So awesome. Yeah. I like all of that. It was always meant to be. Get that corn out of my face. Yeah, that's an amazing story for sure. I have another one, but I think we're good. Bye bye. All right. Now it is time for game time. So, if anybody's interested in some, I don't know, it looks like we have a fairly good Overwatch group around here. I'm thinking we can go for it. Yeah, and I think Twigsley's around. Josh is there. All right, sounds good. But yeah, everybody, thanks for hanging out on the stream. We will be right back for some game time.